Hi, so my name's Shannon Lenton. I'm the Community Outreach Officer at Cornwall Community Foundation. Just want to say thank you, Transformation Cornwall, and for everyone for making this possible. It's great to be meeting not only community groups, but actually other funders as well. Bit of audience participation, just a hands up. Who has, before today, heard of Cornwall Community Foundation? Yes. Hands up if you've ever applied for funding with us before. Fabulous. So this may be a recap for some of you, but actually new information for others. So really, in essence, we are, I suppose, a hub for lots of different funding to come together, whether that's something that already existed that we facilitate or some funds that we've created ourselves. But really, there is a lot to us. Fantastic. So we are a charity that started in 2003, so we've been going for over 20 years. We're a staff of around 14 and we have an amazing board of trustees as well. But we are made up of a network of community foundations. There's 47 of us throughout the country and we are Cornwalls. And really the basis of us is we are for the Cornish community. And the range of things we offer, I'd say probably every single person in this room would be able to apply to one of our funds in some capacity. Really it is to overcome the challenges of disadvantage, exclusion and poverty in their communities. Often we are fighting a battle of being known as the picture postcard Cornwall, but we know that that is not the case. So what we do, since 2003, we've awarded over £20 million and that's supported over 8,000 local projects. We are a small grant provider, but actually the groups that we work with, those grants go a long way. So in 2024 alone, we distributed 3.2 million. A record-breaking year for us, not records actually we really want to be breaking, but we supported 675 projects within that. So our money is able to go to lots of different groups. There's a little map of what we do. We work throughout Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly to a range of different groups. We want Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly to be a great place for everyone to live, a place where people work together to address disadvantage and build strong, resilient communities. So we try and apply that to lots of different groups. Who can apply? There are a few documentations that we require, but I am in place and the rest of our team are in place to support that. So we request a governing document, that may be a constitution of articles of association, a clear list of rules that you go for. We do ask for a minimum of 3 unrelated members, whether that be on your board, your committee. We ask that all your details are registered in the correct places. We ask for a safeguarding policy, no matter if you're working with children or vulnerable adults. We ask for a bank account and a bank statement. If you can tick all those off, fantastic. If you can't tick all of those off right now, don't worry. That's also where they're in place to help support that. There are some things that we can't support, projects not benefiting people living in Cornwall, the Cornish community. Retrospective grants, all we mean by that is you can't come to us with a receipt and say, please give me the money for that. We go, oh, but you've already spent it. Groups with significant financial free reserves, groups whose beneficiaries are not people. Actually, we do work with some groups that, for example, we work with a foundation that look with equine therapy. Yes, they're working with animals, but the core of it is for people. Contribution to endowment funds, statutory and public sector organisations. We are a charity. We were never established to support statutory organisations. For example, schools, we can't support schools directly, but we can support PTAs. So there are ways to find that support. Groups that have had a previous grant and not managed it sensibly, I suppose. We always ask for an impact report at the end. And so if you haven't completed a few of those in a long time, that might flag up some issues. Projects intended to influence people's religious choices. We work with a lot of organisations where religion is at their core, but they're not promoting or forcing that view upon anyone. Often they are the community hubs and the community spaces. So, I suppose what makes us different is the amount of funding that we provide. In our remit, we manage over 70 different funds right now. They are all different, so it's very hard for me to say, let's talk through all 70 funds. It really is a case-by-case basis, but they are managed and are different. So on our website, you would click on available grants, and it looks like we have 4 or 5 grants at the moment. Please do not then think that's it for us, CCF can't support us, because there is so much more. The ones often on our website are ones that run on a deadline basis. So we have some, open up, put it on the website, close, we take it off the website. But a lot of our funds, I call them the rolling funds. They roll throughout the year and sort of trickle underneath. We would have a conversation, you might reach out to us via email. I run one-to-one support sessions, so we have those conversations and it becomes like a matchmaking process. We can't have all of those on our website at the same time because we work with small grants. You can imagine the more matches we make, the pot depletes and those pots have to go on a pause moment as we build them back up, talk to the funder. So that reason we have the deadline-based ones on our website and all the rest sort of trickle underneath. Then I sort of split them up into 3 categories. We've got a lot of locational-based funds, which is great for things like village halls, community spaces, where you can clearly state this is a part of the community we work with, and often then their criteria are quite flexible, as long as you are working with that location. We have thematic funds, so are you working with a certain group of beneficiaries? Are you doing a certain type of work? So you can see how actually these roots are building. You can tap into a lot of different funds with us. It's not a one and done. We've worked with Cornwall Community Foundation, that's sort of done. And we have some individual funds. So we have some around young people. So we have a young and talented fund that they can apply to as individuals. But what is most relevant for you guys is we do have some funds where we can't give money directly to the individual themselves. So the community group apply for a pot of money that they can then disperse to individuals in their care. So someone you know needs £50 for repairs to their tumble dryer. You can apply to something called our crisis fund, becomes the surviving winter fund. So you can see how there's lots of different building blocks. Here's one that we have supported, a group called Drama Express. Anyone that was at our 20-year anniversary event at Truro Cathedral will have seen them perform. So just an example here, they applied for something called the Clare Milne Fund, which is a fund for supporting those who supported people with disabilities. So one of those thematic funds. They were awarded that in February 2024, a £2,000 grant. And they were then able to run schools out at Sockley Hall, where this group, so they support people with disabilities to perform and be creative, and they were able to put on a performance at the Minack Theatre. So a relatively small amount made a huge difference. How it works. So we are really for that Cornish community, and often the people we support are working on the ground, often voluntary-led, don't have heaps of time and dedicated bid writers to apply for funding. So we try and keep our process as simple as possible and the actual application. So it's an online application. Most of the forms work on that it's initial general information, a budget breakdown, and then we have 3 questions of 100 words each, which is a blessing and a curse sometimes. So the first one is about the project and the project, what you would do with the money. The second one is about the needs in the area. And the third is the impact that you would want it to have or it has had previously. So that gets sent off, it gets sent to our assessors. We have 4 grants officers, all of which are responsible for different funds and some external assessors as well. What we always do, because we are working on the ground, we're a smaller charity, we've got the capacity to do it, we will ask further questions. Sometimes there's nothing worse if you are picked out for something and then it is unsuccessful. If someone had just asked me that question and I could have explained further. So we will always ask those questions, pop it in an email, when would be a good time to have a phone call about this. Dependent on the fund, often deadline funds get sent to a panel and they say out of those 20 we can fund those 15. Or sometimes they get sent directly to the fund holder themselves. You'll be informed of the decision and hopefully the grant is received. Our success rate last year was 60%. Obviously that varied on different funds, but as a general overview, 60% was our grant rate. And then we ask at the end to complete an impact report. That's usually a year-long process, and at the end of the year, send this report and then you can apply again. Some, I suppose, tips and tricks. I think it's always good to hear from the funding side of what we do like to see. Strengths, you want to demonstrate you understand the needs of your community. You're not throwing something out in the wind and hope that it sticks. Show how your project represents value for money. Your impact is measurable. Something to always think about throughout your process is how you're measuring that impact, because then you've got that there ready for an impact report. Your project is sustainable. It's a big thing at the moment of sustainability and also environmental impact. Common errors that we do find is people apply to the project and it doesn't quite fit the criteria. That is always, for me, the main thing. How does it fit the criteria? So it's the best use of your time as well. Or if the budget is unclear, because we're working with smaller amounts of money, it is really important to know where that money is going to go as much as you can. Sometimes we have documents are missing or unclear. We have a policy from 10 years ago that has been reviewed since, but you've just given us the old version of it. So actually thinking what documents are needed and are they in date? Because it just ultimately slows down the process. And your application leaves the assessor with too many questions. I always think of what questions they might ask me beforehand. How can I answer every single question? So by the time I've done it, they have no questions left to ask me. Just some common things that we find that might slow down the process or reduce the success rate. And then there's myself to offer support. So my role is new in place, started in September, and it's been there to now give a stepping stone for people. It's a scary world out there in the funding world, and often a lot of us haven't got into this to become bid writers. It takes a lot of time, and often you don't have that time to do it. So to have someone in place to be that backbone for you and that point of support. So you can book in a free one-to-one support session with me. I've got some booklets at the back if you haven't picked one up that's got a QR code, or you can just email me and we can set up a one-to-one session. Within that, you can ask me about specific funds, find what funding's right for you, ask me questions about specific applications. Send me a draft of your current application so I can be an outside eye, because I'm not involved in the actual assessment. I can just give you an outside eye's perspective. Or if you've had an unsuccessful application with us, I can give that more dedicated feedback. So anything you need, that's there. Signing up to our newsletter is a great way, because often those deadline funds that are coming up on the website, you'll get a direct notification. I'm running some workshops. I'm doing one every month, all around different things. And I'm doing drop-in sessions. I've seen a few of you at different ones. So just getting CCF's name out there to know that it's really something at the core of the community that wants to see your projects thrive. And there's all my details. Thank you. I suppose any questions?